He bought his first property. At the time, he would have been maybe 19. 3 properties in 3 years. Bro's 22 with 3 properties. Like that, the average age of a first homeowner in Australia is 38 years old. 38. And he's done it at 19. But in this situation, I saw something that I've never ever seen before. Dad tried to go after the son's property assets. Man to man, to that man. That's not a dad, bro. That's not being a man. That's not being a father. Welcome to the Teach Me About Property podcast. I'm Massey Archibald, the CEO of Teach Me About Property. I'm here today with my boy Felise.
Let's go. Welcome everyone.
Welcome. How's your week?
Last week?
Yeah.
50 burpees, Mass.
Hey. How'd that feel?
I'll tell you the backstory. So I think the week before that, I was training with some of the boys. You know, we show some boys and they have a certain workout that they're just really good at.
Yeah.
We started doing burpees, man.
Yeah.
We're doing burpees, we're running.
Some of the boys look light, eh?
Yeah, you know, they just make it look like they're flying. And so we ended up doing that workout that morning, Saturday morning, and then lunchtime, I was at the shops at Woolies with the kids, and I nearly fainted. I was like dazing out.
Yeah.
And I came back to Nana, my wife, and I was like, oh, this happened. And we were trying to figure out, like, why was I like that? And I realized it was the burpees, man, that morning workout.
That's all.
And then from there, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a 7-day challenge. So I did like a 7-day challenge to do 50 burpees every morning for 7 days.
What'd you learn?
That I'm heavy. Well, I think that was the purpose of it, right? That was the purpose of me embracing it. Yeah, like obviously going through the experience, like feeling dazed, because, you know, we train every day and we have a certain workout that we do.
It's different.
Yeah. But when you do something different and it shocks your body, and that's what I wanted to do, kind of challenge myself. And it was a good learning, man. Yeah. Just learn more about, like, I think number one, you know, when you're not good at something, embrace it and work on it. Yeah. And that was one thing for me. But then just the importance of, like, just picking a simple goal and staying consistent for 7 days seems not like a big challenge, but when you actually do it and you got to commit to it. And so that was my week, man. That was my week. It was good. Finished off on Sunday morning. Then went to church, of course. But yeah, man, how about you? How was your week?
Me? Peptides, baby.
Oh. Hacking the system.
Finally. Peptides arrived, so I got my Wolverine stack and I got my Redder.
Okay.
So
you're the supplier man now, yeah?
We're gonna go hard to Christmas. So High Rocks in Melbourne is on the 10th, I think we're on maybe the 11th of December.
Yeah.
And one of the goals is shirt off for High Rocks.
Okay.
This is like okay. So I'd like to be down 95 or below.
What do you know?
Maybe 110. So drop 15, which is about a kilo a week between now and then.
Yeah.
Which will be pretty good. And then obviously maintain muscle mass, maintain strength. You know.
For those that don't know what peptides is, what is peptides?
It's God's latest gift to man.
2026 technology.
So peptides just do all different types of things. So Wolverine stack is I train hard, I train a lot, and the body there's a bit of wear and tear in the body.
Yeah.
For those people who don't know X-Men, Wolverine, everyone knows the sharp claws, but what they don't know, his main power was the ability to recover. He could regenerate, he could heal. That was actually his thing. So the Wolverine stack is about healing.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's why it's called the Wolverine stack. Yeah. So I use that for healing, and just to get rid of all the niggles. And then Redder is weight loss. So I've never used anything for weight loss before. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting.
Never used anything?
No.
Never used anything. Yeah.
No. I've always just gone on crazy diets.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah. We don't want to dive into that with this episode.
Bro, that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, finally landed. So started. This is like day 1, week 1. It's game on. So like I said, goal to get down to 95 or below. I think what that'll also do, it'll make all my training prep easier, being lighter. Running at 95
well, if you're training like the way you
are
are now with your body weight, then dropping another 10-15 kilos
easier yeah easier and it's
so
not about
want the abs to pop out,
especially the bottom 2. That'd be nice, bottom 2, so you look smaller with a shirt on but you look great with a shirt off. That's the reality.
100%.
That's the goal. So that's been the week for us. Waited for ages for it to arrive. It finally landed, so we'll see, eh?
We on.
We on, baby. We are on like Donkey Kong. And I'm always pretty good around the nutrition, but this will just tighten it right up.
100%.
Tighten it right up. Yeah. So training's on lock. You know, wake up 4 a.m., gym by 4:30 to 4:40, and just bang that out every day. And now I make sure the body stays on track because I've got the Wolverine stack, so all of my little niggles go away. And then I've also got Redder to get down to probably 95. I'll be surprised. I really want to see how long it takes me to get there.
We just started this week, yeah?
Yeah.
Feel the difference?
Feel no difference whatsoever. Which is good. You don't want to be...
Obviously, your body's adapting. Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah, but you also don't want to be like, oh, I've got this side effect, I've got this side. You don't want any of that. Slow and slow. Just let your body acclimatize to it, and then just get the positive results.
Let's go.
That's the game. That's the game plan, baby. That's the game plan.
Summer, here we come. Massey, I seen property prices are dropping.
Okay.
But why is that bad for first-home buyers?
Yeah, isn't that
Talk
funny?
to me, man.
Isn't that funny? See, man.
It should be making it easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because the problem is there isn't one property market. But the real problem is everything Labor touches. And this is the challenge, right? The government tries to get involved in the private sector.
Yep.
And it tries to make changes to force outcomes.
Yeah.
What they can't control is the negative unintended consequences.
Yeah.
So what you just said is prices are falling.
Yeah.
And everyone would think, oh, that's amazing.
That's a good thing.
That's the best thing. Now people who have less money can afford to buy property.
Wasn't that the intention?
That was the goal, baby.
That wasn't the goal of Labor government.
The goal was Labor's like,
to tie the investors in that up and free it for the first time buyers.
Yes. So their goal was to go, let's get rid of mum and dad investors and let's make property more affordable for first homeowners so more Australians can realise their dream of owning property. Right? And mate, as a slogan, that's, sounds amazing.
Feel good. Yeah.
Everyone's like, bro, you got my vote.
Yeah.
And then they tell you how they're going to do it. And it was like, whoa. Right? And now we're starting to see the impacts of the decisions that we've made. We've spoken about this on our podcast.
Yeah.
The Labor's made changes around the budget. They've gotten rid of negative gearing. They've changed self-managed super funds. Yep, they've made huge changes, right? And what is starting to happen? So let's look at it. If we look at the cities, right? First of all, so Sydney in a quarter, so the last 3 months, is down 4%.
Sydney.
That's the whole market of Sydney.
Okay.
It's down 4%. You're like, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Melbourne is down 3.4%.
Okay.
Right? Okay, that's not bad. That's in a quarter.
Yeah.
Right? Brisbane is down 0.6%.
Okay.
So Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth were really resilient and they were fighting. They weren't coming down. But Brisbane is now falling 0.6%. Adelaide's up 0.1%. And Perth is down 0.3%.
Okay.
So all of the markets, so the big markets as well as the smaller markets, they're all falling. And Adelaide is just clinging on by 0.1%. Right? But it actually fell in the last month. So that's the broader market.
Yeah.
But let's take a look, right? Listen to these places. This is why the biggest changes, the problem for first homeowners is the biggest changes are happening at the top end of the market. So listen to this. Biggest change. As an example, Bellevue Hill.
Yeah.
Right? Bellevue Hill, median price, $10,974,971. Yeah, that's right there. Right? Bellevue Hill. Most expensive place to buy property in Australia, right? $10.9 million median value. The property prices are down 5.6%. Right? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah? But ain't no first homeowners buying in there, bro.
Ways. Yeah.
Ain't no one like,
10
sweet.
million. Yeah.
Sweet. Let's go get instead of paying 10.9, we'll pay 10 mil. Well, let's go get a discount.
So we're seeing it on the upper market.
But let me keep going. Vaucluse, 9.1 million, down 9%.
Okay.
Right? So you'll get a $91,000 discount on that $9.1 million property. Rose Bay, 6.9 million, down 1.9%. Bronte. Now, Bronte's nice.
Yeah.
Right on the beach. 5.5 million for houses.
Yeah.
Down 11%.
Yeah.
11% on 5.5 mil. That's $550,000 discount. Yeah?
Yeah. Mills. When you're talking the million.
Yeah. Sorry, Vaucluse is down 900,000. Right?
900,000.
900, yeah, with 9% of 9.1 mil. So yeah, they're massive discounts, right? Peppermint Grove. Oh, no, sorry. Woollahra, is down 8.4% on 4.6 million. North Bondi is down 4.4% on 4.6 million. None of that helps any first homeowners whatsoever. There isn't a first homeowner in Australia who's going, oh, let's
Over
go buy
2
a property.
3 mil, yeah.
Well, that's 10 mil.
10 mil, let alone.
Right? So the problem is the most expensive houses are coming down in price.
Yeah.
That is not going to help a first homeowner.
First time buyers are not
You know who that helps? The family that's owned property for the last 10 to 15 years.
It's ups, yeah.
Let's upgrade.
Upgrade.
Oh, the place down the road. You can get it at $1 million discount.
Yeah, $1 million
Let's
discount.
go and buy that.
We've always wanted to move there. We've always wanted to buy there.
Yeah, we've always wanted a second. Let's go buy that property. So that's the problem. So the government makes changes. Those changes might create the outcome that it wants, but it doesn't create the outcome for the people that they want. And they have no control over that.
Yeah.
The top end of the market is a handbrake city.
Yeah.
And the worst part is the bottom end of the market, the entry-level end of the market, prices are staying the same and there's still lots of competition for properties. That's why falling house prices is not helping first home owners.
Yeah.
It's actually bad news because all the properties you can't afford are now cheaper. And the ones you can afford are the same price.
There's just more buyers in that market now.
So the properties you can't afford are cheaper. The properties you can afford are the same price or more expensive. That's why it doesn't help first home owners.
So what's the go here with the negative equity for first home buyers?
Well, this is another lose for the Labor Party.
Oh, mate, they're just losing all day.
They're like, yeah, man, let's bring the house prices down.
Yeah.
The problem is Labor went to the market and they said, we're going to allow first home owners to buy properties with a 5% deposit and we'll guarantee the loans.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's like, brilliant.
The LMI.
Yeah. So the government guarantee covers the LMI. Instead of LMI,
right.
you have that, right? Yeah. But what it means is if there's a $500,000 property, I can go and buy that $500,000 property for $25,000.
Yep.
People are like, man, I got 25 Gs.
Easy, yeah.
Oh, I can save that. Let's go buy a property.
Yeah.
And people have. 350,000 people have gone and done that.
And utilise that 5% deposit.
Utilise the 5% deposit
That's the
scheme.
whole purpose of it.
Yes. So the government's like...
25 grand, massive.
Yes. Winner, chicken dinner. And then the government creates new housing policy that makes all of those properties go down in value. It's the worst.
So they got them in.
So they're like, how you've only got 5% equity?
Yeah.
Well, if the property price drops by 10%, you're now negative equity.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like the first homeowner lose-lose.
Lose.
And that's the biggest problem that the government didn't see coming. In fact, I saw a crazy, we all watch the news, we all watch different things, reels on TikTok, whatever.
Yeah.
And, there's a news presenter asking, and there's a politician going, no. We want properties to become more affordable, but we still want the property values to go up.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's like, we don't want to lose any votes.
We want growth. Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't make sense. But the worst thing is, in practice, it's worse than what the government thought it would be. That's the worst part. In practice, you've got hundreds of thousands of first-time owners who've taken the government and they've taken the incentives in place.
Yeah, 5%
and now there's a massive risk that there'll be a negative equity. Now, my 2 cents on that is, like, it's lose-lose for Labor. But if you're a first homeowner experiencing or under the threat of negative equity, or you find out you are now in negative equity, well, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, that's right.
So for me, you hold on.
Yeah, well, I think it's just what would you say to someone like that to give him clarity in regards to what's happening right now, but also to hold on? What does that look like?
Yeah, cool. So the falling prices don't become real unless you sell. Right?
Yep.
If you bought a property for $900,000 and the prices drop to $800,000, that only matters if you sell for $800,000.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
But what you've got to understand is property is cyclical. So property prices will go up, they'll flatline, they'll come down a little bit, they'll be flat again, and then they'll come up.
Yeah.
Right? So what you need to understand is in 10 years' time, in 12 years' time, none of this is going to matter.
Yeah.
The property price is going to be higher than what it is today. And the threat of negative equity only becomes a fact if you sell the property after the value of the property has gone down.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to withstand. right? So what do?
Hold.
Hold on, baby. Hold on. It's just like if you buy shares and the value of the shares goes down, it doesn't mean anything if you don't sell, right? It only means something. There's a term called you crystallize the loss.
Yeah.
So if I bought a property for 900,000, I find out, through checking, RP data or whatever it may be, that the new value of the property is $800,000. I panic and I sell the property.
Yeah.
That $100,000 loss is now real.
Yeah.
You just lost $100,000. But if that happens today and in 10 years' time, you still own the property and the property value has gone up, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. So as a homeowner, you have to be willing to withstand any short-term negativity. And that's where we are now, guys. So the best thing you can do is to not make a bad situation worse by selling the property. Hold on, baby. Hold on.
I seen to build an apartment in Sydney now costs $1 million. $1 million. That's not cash change, bro.
So this is what everyone needs to understand. Let me give you the numbers. So in 2018, the cost to build a unit, and this is all in.
Yeah.
This is construction plus land.
Yeah.
Right? Was $660,000. That's back in 2018.
2018, yeah.
Right? In 2026 now, it's $1,050,000. Right? So what's that? 8 years later.
Damn.
Right? These figures are from the Center of International Economics Fund. Right? So that's where they come from.
Yeah.
But what makes it even worse is in Sydney, the median sale price for a unit is $849,000. So why is that significant?
Yeah.
Because it costs more to create a new unit. That's not even with profit. That's just to build it.
Just to build it.
Just to build it.
Just to build it.
Just to build the property, right? The replacement cost is higher than what a unit is selling for today.
Yeah.
And that's why. So what that means is if I'm a developer and it costs me, well, no, I don't lose money. That's what most people think.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're going to lose money. No. You just shelve the project. So you might have bought a site in Parramatta and you're like, oh, we're going to build all these units.
Yeah.
And then you run the numbers and it's no longer financially viable.
Yeah.
So that project gets shelved. It's chucked in the rubbish bin. And then you get less units. You get less supply.
But yeah.
Right?
So we're trying to build more.
You're trying to build
There's
more
no supply.
And so this is the real problem that the government doesn't want to talk about. Because the government doesn't have a fast fix for the problem. Right? So if it's costing me $1 million to make something that's only selling for $849,000, that means you stop making them.
Yeah, that's right.
And that is what's happening today. Heaps of developers. I speak to developers all the time.
Yeah.
They shelve projects. They just don't do them. Nobody builds developments to lose money. No one does that. They just go, you know what? We're not going to develop any properties. We're going to wait. We'll just sit on the land and we'll wait till it's financially viable, and that could be 5-10 years. But what it really
that's
means,
why you're saying it's not a fast solution.
Your supply is not fast to fix. Because the government doesn't have a magic wand that they can just wave that's going to make the construction costs go down. So what do? It's easier to just attack mum and dad landlords and say they're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, get the bad guy. But that's not going to fix it. This is getting more towards the heart of the real problem.
Yeah, the real problem.
If projects are not financially viable, developers will not build them.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's business.
And it reduces supply. So new projects aren't coming onto the market. That's what happens. So there's less properties, there's less supply, and then there's less properties available for rent. All of that comes into play. That's the real problem. Real problem. How do you fix that?
But if the government is getting rid of the everyday mum and dad investors, who's going to be the new landlords?
Hey, listen up to this one, bro. This is where it gets, for me... Look, when I first saw the government making all these changes, my real question was, what's the point of this and who does it benefit? Because they're saying first homeowners, but all of us in the market are going, no, I can't see that. I can't see how this is going to benefit mum and dad. And I can't see how this is going to benefit first homeowners.
Yeah.
Because we could see the problems that were going to occur.
Right.
We could see the problems. And so when you look at it now, who's going to be the new landlord? Hyundai. Who's going to be your new landlord? Hyundai. Right? So what I've noticed from being in the comments section over the last few weeks
100%.
is if there's one thing that Aussies hate more than greedy, they call them greedy property investors. Right? Mum and dad property investors. Yeah, so they're like greedy. The one thing that they hate more than greedy mum and dad property investors is overseas property investors. They hate that. They're like, get rid of all of the overseas property investors. But what the government's done is they've got build-to-rent schemes.
Yeah.
Right? So these are properties that are built for the sole purpose of renting.
Okay.
They're not going to sell to homeowners. Yeah. Homeowners are going to never live in them.
Yeah.
The company that constructs will retain ownership and they will rent them out.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Under the government?
No, on their own. They just buy it. It's just a government scheme. They want build to rent. Oh, we need more rental properties.
Yeah.
The solution, build to rent. Right? The problem is the money is coming from overseas. So your landlord is no longer Mr. and Mrs. Smith from down the street.
Yeah, that's right.
Mum and dad property investors.
That was relying on negative gearing.
Well, where the dad might be in construction and mum might be a teacher.
Yeah,
They're not your landlords anymore, who own maybe 2 properties. They're not your landlords. Now it's the Hyundai Corporation. Is that who you want as your landlord? And this is what everyone needs to understand is happening. There's a $350 million project, build to rent, approved in Chatswood. And the primary owner of that, Hyundai, a subsidiary of the Hyundai Corporation.
Because they got the money, they got the funds.
Yeah, but is that who you want as your landlord now?
Yeah.
Right? Is that who you want as your landlord?
That's crazy.
But that's not the only example of this happening. There was a $200 million build-to-rent project down in Melbourne that was approved. That was Japanese money. Japanese money. Hyundai's Korean. Welcome to how to create a nation of renters 101. So is this the plan? Is this Labor's plan? Is the plan to get mum and dad investors out of the property market and to bring in international money from large corporations and they become everyone's landlord? And they do it through the build-to-rent schemes. That's how you create a country of renters. And from what I'm reading in the comments sections from you guys, all of you guys out there, what I know and what I've read, based on what you guys say, is that is probably the one thing that you guys hate the most.
Yeah.
Is international investors buying up properties and pushing up property prices. And this is happening right now. So who's your new landlord? Hyundai. Your house is Hyundai. Your car's Hyundai. You know, your cousin lives in a Japanese-owned property. That ain't it. Me, I'm all for if there's going to be any benefit from the from property and from wealth created in property, it should stay on shore.
Yeah, that's right.
Why shouldn't Australians be able to partake in that and help to, give people who are renters a home to live in? And why on earth?
So first of all, it creates more renters with that.
Yep.
And then how does that also impact the Australian economy?
Oh, exactly. Because that money goes offshore. Whereas at least
the money doesn't stay in Australia and build the economy and create jobs and whatever it is, eh?
And that's the biggest problem. Those companies are the best ones that would get out of paying tax for sure, bro. They just offshore the money. So this is, it's a bit of a conspiracy theory and there's not enough data to support it.
Yeah.
But surely this is not what the government is trying to put into place. But this is what's happening. This is happening right now.
Yeah.
Right? Large projects, hundreds of millions of dollars of projects, wholly funded by offshore money, and they're built to rent.
Yeah.
Which means the only people that will ever live in those properties are renters, and the only people that will ever own them are people from overseas with deep pockets. Worst possible outcome for the Australian market.
So when you do become Prime Minister, what should happen? What should it look like, Mas? If that's a problem, if that's an issue, what should it look like? What would benefit the economy, Australia? Well,
first of all, you want the Australian market to benefit Australians.
Yeah.
Right?
Australians.
And so who are you trying to benefit? You're trying to benefit the first-time owners and people that are trying to get into the property market. Right? That's the first one. So what do they need? They need good jobs, good incomes, so they can afford to buy properties. right? The misnomer is if property prices are cheaper, then everyone will own property. That's not true, because there's never ever been property prices going backwards have always been cheaper than what they are today.
Yeah.
And there has never been a point in that timeline where everyone has owned property. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There are always going to be renters.
Renters, always, yeah.
So you have to cater to the first homeowners who need to get into the property market.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Good wages.
Yeah.
People need to earn more money, bro. If mum and dad are earning way better wages, they've got more freedom to save money, to build a deposit, to go and buy a property. And when they go into the bank, they're not going to go in there and the bank says you can borrow $300,000.
Yeah.
Because you've got kids and you've got jobs, but this is all you can borrow. No, they'll have a decent borrowing capacity and they can afford to buy a first property, right? But you have to cater to renters. There are always going to be renters. We are a country of immigrants.
Yeah.
You're always, the immigration, there's always people coming in. No one lands and buys a house straight away.
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Yeah.
I've worked with CEOs who've been brought in from overseas. They don't buy, they rent. There is always a need for renters, right? So you can't punish the investors who provide accommodation and properties for the renters to rent.
That's right.
Right? So you have to have a balance. We need strong wages for first homeowners who need to buy properties.
Yep.
And we need good incentives so investors will continue to invest.
And
then builders can build more properties,
That's right.
which the investors are going to buy, the first homeowners are going to buy. And none of them are evil. No one in that equation is evil. There's no point going, they're bad, they're bad.
Yeah.
No. Everyone has a need, but everyone also provides value in that chain. So how do we create policy that benefits everyone? We'll stop doing the stupid thing that Labor's doing.
Yeah.
Right? The property market wasn't perfect, but it's worse now.
Worse off.
It's worse and it's going to get worse.
And these changes, recent changes, has brought about the numbers that we were speaking about earlier.
100%. What help is it if a $10.1 million property goes down 5%? Man, who the hell is that helping? But who's that helping?
500,000.
What, Jay-Z and Beyonce? Who's that helping? That's not helping everyday people, right? So we're off the mark. Change is needed. Everything they've put in place, wrong. Next government, get rid of all of it. We need self-managed super funds to be able to invest in residential properties.
Kick that back up.
Kick that back in. Why? Because most of them buy new properties.
Yeah, that's right.
Ta-da. There's 16,000 properties.
Benefits the developers, like you said. They're going to want to build more.
That's right. Because if they stop building, well, then there are new properties. Then supply is your biggest problem. Supply is the biggest problem in the Australian property market right now. The government doesn't really want to talk about that because that's a really hard problem to solve.
They just talk to the first home owners. They're just talking to the first home.
Let me tell you about a family.
Let's go.
We had a family join teach me about property. It was mum and son. Mum was married and her son, they both got in. Mum really wanted to get, let's try and build some wealth. She already owned property, but she wanted to keep going. Right? And hubby didn't want to be a part of the journey. But the son was like, yeah, mum, I'll support you. Let's do this together.
Yeah.
So what happened was mum was able to buy her first investment property.
Yep.
But what really kicked into gear was the son. He's a young guy. He was working hard and he was really sharp with his money. And so he was able to very quickly, I think maybe 6 months after they joined, he bought his first property.
Well, how old is he?
At the time, he would have been maybe 19. 19. He was able to buy his first property. Man. Yeah, young.
He's
young. Would you be proud of your 19-year-old son if he bought property?
I think at 19 I wasn't thinking about buying property.
Yeah, but as a dad, would you be proud of him?
100%.
Proud of him.
Especially if they were the one keen to want to do it,
Yeah, well, mum was the driver, and then he's gone along to say, I'll support you, mum.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, she bought a property, and then we've gone, well, look, you're in a position to buy.
Yeah,
why don't we get you into a property?
No.
And he bought his first property. He bought a unit in Wentworthville, here in Sydney, right? And he's 19 years old.
19, that's crazy.
Property value goes up, as sometimes happen.
Yeah.
And he buys a second property. He buys a unit in Liverpool.
What was that first property? Was it a unit? A house?
Yeah, it was a unit.
Yeah.
So the first property he bought was a unit in Wentworthville, right? That property went up in value. He used the equity to buy a second property.
Oh, he bought a second
which was a unit in Liverpool. And then both of those properties went up in value, and he used the equity to buy a third property up in Queensland, a townhouse. 3 properties in 3 years. Bro's 22 with 3 properties.
Crazy.
Well, here's where it gets interesting, right? So, mum and dad split up.
Okay.
They went through a process of, divorce.
Yeah.
And look, it's really common in that process that mum and dad hate each other. They go to war and they try and tear each other down, and they become quite vindictive.
The kids, yeah.
Right, that's common. And then they try and take everything from everyone, and they want to win every little piece of thing, right? That's very common. But in this situation, I saw something that I've never ever seen before, right? What happened was the dad tried to go after the son's property assets.
What? So this is after he's bought the 3 properties.
He's bought the 3 properties, and dad's position was he didn't do it on his own. His mum's helped him. That's my money. He's bought those properties with my money. I'm entitled to half of those properties.
Wow. I'm entitled.
As a dad. Wow. Like, how could you do that? Like, I'm a dad. I'm a boy dad, man.
Wow.
Proud.
Wow.
You know what I mean? If my sons had bought 3 properties by the age of 22, man, I'd be the proudest dad 100%. Ever. I wouldn't stand in a court and say that those properties were bought with my money and I want my cut.
So went to court.
So 100%. It's part of the divorce. Took him to court. And so what happens is you're the judge, right? And in divorce, everyone just makes lots of claims.
Yeah.
Oh, this happened, this happened.
Right,
and so they're used to it.
Yeah.
So the judge is like, yeah, okay, but and then they request for all the documents. They request for all the documents to come in. They request for everything to come in. And then what happens is the judge realizes that this 19-year-old kid had no help.
Wow.
No help from mum, no help from dad.
Solid.
Right? It took a while because they had to submit all the documents and they had to show the settlement documents.
Well, they were looking at the savings, where the funds coming from.
Where the funds coming from, yeah. But eventually...
it showed the facts.
The facts come to
the facts showed that it came from...
and the facts show...
it came from the son.
That this 19-year-old son, who's now 22, 23, has, through his own efforts, through his own hard work, with his own money, has managed to buy 2 properties in Sydney and 1 in Brisbane.
It's crazy.
And the judge went off at the dad, bro.
For sure, man.
Went off at the dad.
How could you?
He's like, what the hell is wrong with you? How can you not be proud of your son? Look at what your son's done. And you bring him into court here and you want to take half of his assets, knowing you never contributed in any way? I have never heard of that.
Wow.
Never, ever, ever have I heard of a father trying to get the assets of their son. In a divorce proceedings. I've never heard of that. That's crazy. Crazy. I've never met the dad. I've never met him.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is. I've never met him. I worked really closely with the mum and son for years. For the last 5 years.
But obviously you would have worked with the son one-on-one and
but what I'm saying is,
and seen his commitment. And
he never attended a single meeting. He wasn't a part of it. He didn't want to be part of it. But then after it's done, he's like, where's my money?
He kicked in.
Bro. So like I said, I've never met him. I don't know him. I don't know the guy. But, man to man.
Yeah, 100%.
Man to man.
Well, how would you do that? Knowingly.
But what kind of man are you?
Yeah.
What kind of father are you? At what point do you stop? At what point? Because it's obvious when all the documentation comes through. But too late.
Yeah,
man to man,
bro. That's
to
crazy.
that man,
that's
not a dad, bro. That's not being a man. That's not being a father. Like, man, you should be proud of your son.
Yeah.
For someone to be able to go and do that and produce those outcomes at that age, like the average age of a first home owner in Australia is 38 years old. 38. And he's done it at 19.
Little in 3.
And a 3 by 22. Like, that ain't normal.
Yeah.
That is effort on effort on effort. You know what I mean? That student didn't come to any of our events, didn't come to stuff. Why? He was always working.
Always working?
He's always working. And for me, mad respect. Mad respect. I can't make it, I'm working. Right? That's a provider. That's what men look like.
Yeah.
Real men. You turn up. You work when you have to. You do what's required.
Finance can change people, eh?
Yeah, money, man. Money, bro. How can you want something you never worked for and you never contributed to? I don't understand that. Like, that's not in my DNA.
Yeah.
You know, I was brought up that, you know, men work and real men work hard.
Yeah.
And if you want anything in this life, just go to work for it.
Can you get it?
You know, if you want more money, get a second job.
Yeah.
If you want more money than that, bro, start a business.
Yeah.
If you want more money than that, invest.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's not complicated. But nowhere in that plan or strategy is the answer to try and take the assets of your child.
It's crazy time.
But the good news story here
Tell us.
Is that, well, the judge saw the truth.
Yeah.
Judge saw the truth.
Well, I think let alone just the whole process of that, like the starting, it's
having to go through it.
just emotional.
Yeah, it's trauma, bro. It's trauma.
Baggage with all that,
trauma.
you know. First of all, divorce in itself, and then
divorce is bad.
and then to carry on through the finance and then get the kid involved.
Yeah, that's heavy. Heavy. That's the worst play I've ever seen.
So how they doing now?
While they're still coming through the other side of it, to be honest.
Still in the midst of it, yeah.
Yeah. So the son, done. That part's done. But there's just stuff lingering. But, you know, man, truth prevails.
Yeah, that's
Truth
the
prevails.
principle, right?
Hard work pays off. And in the end, like, you can see exactly what happened. And so the good news story is, you know, he's built assets that will serve him and his family for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And him and his mum went through that together, you know, so their relationship's a lot stronger.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, you know, when I talk to him, he's just like, you know, that's my dad.
He's still young. Yeah, but he's still young.
Crazy.
And that's right.
That's what he said. Yeah. He's like, well, Massey, you know, that's my dad. That's how he is. So all you dads out there, better lift your game, man. Lift your game. Because that ain't it, man. That ain't the way. You know, work hard. Be a provider. Make your family proud. Give them the life you never had. And be the man she wants you to be.
My question would be, if someone is getting paid cash, what would you recommend for them to do to get themselves working towards PAYG, or is it ABN? Because I think that's the options, right? They either tell them, or just if you don't want to get paid cash, do an ABN.
Yeah.
And then PAYG
Normally,
is more the last option.
So one, you're going to have a chat with the boss. You say, I want to go on the books.
Yeah, okay.
And he's either going to say yes and put you on the books. He'll say yes, and in 6 months' time, you're still not on the books. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Or he'll just say no, and you have to leave. But either way, if you can't get on the books, you need to find another company. Right? You got to get that company was the right company for you in the past.
Yeah.
It's not the company that's gonna get you to your future goals.
Yeah.
So go get the right company. Work for the right place. Right? And the first step, if you were getting cash, the first step is to get onto PAYG, not ABN.
Okay.
Forget ABN, PAYG. Get onto tax. Get onto a proper full-time salary where they're paying all of your expenses and you just get paid money. It might feel like you're getting less, but you are getting way, way, way more. Trust. Way more. Take those steps and then you can start saying, okay, well, what do I do now with my future? What do I want to do? I want to buy property. I want to do this. Well, now all of that becomes real. Right? And so far in 2026, what's been the number one experience for you that stood out? August, 8 months down. What do you got?
Right now?
Yeah, up to now. Like from January
The
to now.
biggest thing?
What was the number one experience? What's the best thing?
What came to mind is, I would say, being released from my calling.
Okay, for those who don't know, what was your calling?
Well, I was a bishop.
You were a bishop?
I was a bishop for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, must pay well, right?
Oh, man.
Right? On that shmoney.
On that love service.
On that shmoney.
Yeah, so I was called in September 2020.
Yeah.
We're called together.
What's like the annual income for a bishop, like that you get paid from the church?
Eternal blessings. No cap, no salary cap.
No cap.
Eternal blessings.
You get paid in our thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. So I was called back then in 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And last month, the end of June, I was released.
Yeah. How'd that feel? How'd that feel, man?
What
was a better day? Wait on. Was a better day like the days leading up because you know it's happening? Or was it the day of because you know you're getting released? Or was it the first day after? Which day was the best day?
Now. Now. It's been a month, Massey.
Yeah.
It's been about a month. So you definitely feel the changes or the difference.
Yeah.
More the capacity, the load that comes with the calling. And so being able to be like a month out from being released and just I don't know how to explain it. It might be like it's kind of like it's part of your identity's been taken away, kind of thing, you know. And well, look, we've been to war together, caught together. So that's probably been the big thing for 2026 for me, man. Just being able to be like, just being released and feeling the difference, and now being, well, okay, what's next for me?
Before I don't want to know about what's next. I want to just know what do you think is the lightest thing for you, or what's the best part of the feeling? When do you feel like this is amazing? Like, what is it? Is it because you don't have to do as much? Is it because what is it?
Well, look, where much is given, much is required.
All day.
So, with that calling, just so everyone knows out of context, the calling, you're called as a bishop for a ward or a congregation. In our ward we have up to 200 to 300 members. So it's it's like you're a father. I'm a spiritual father to the members, and then so you have that weight, you have that the responsibility on your back for that period of time. So back to your question. Your question is,
well, part of it is that it makes you feel the lightest.
Well, that's it. Knowing that it's no longer my responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not in a I'm cheering. Well, but
he's cheering.
It's just for me. It's just it was a phase.
Yeah.
It was a phase of my life,
or a season,
of exactly.
It's a season.
We go through winter, spring, summer. It was a season of my life and me and Nana, my wife, our season, and that season's now passed on, and we're looking to find something else that's going to be heavy for my shoulders.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Appreciate it.
On another episode of the Teach Me About Property podcast. I'm Massey Archibald, the CEO of Teach Me About Property. And this is my boy,
It's your boy, Felise.
Let's go. Much love, Fano.